Challenging times, and we're here to talk about solving problems, real estate problems in challenging times, and also creating financial futures investing in real estate, even in a slump cycle. I'm joined by Alfonso Cuadra, the Godfather of real estate, the man, the myth, the guy who just keeps on keeping on. How you doing?
Keep on keeping on. You know what? What else can we do?
What else can we do? So you're where are you? Are you in Ottawa? Are you in Toronto?
Right now we're just getting ready for our boot camp here in the weekend in Ottawa.
Yeah.
So we're excited. You know, the energy before an event. You know, and the team is here. Everybody's working, and I wanted to take this opportunity to come and talk to you. Let's talk real estate. Let's talk real
estate. Yes.
What's going on in the market? I mean,
what is the market? What is the market? I mean, let's face it. You know, we were speaking at the Real Estate Investor Conference in Edmonton a couple of weeks ago, Recon, and you look at what's going on in Edmonton, and it's all relatively positive. Things are looking pretty good, and some softening. People who are smart and who are watching and following the economic fundamentals, who are hanging out with guys like us, are seeing the future. They're being strategic, they're managing risk, and they're continuing to invest in real estate. Then you go to Ontario. Well, let's go to BC first. What's going on in BC? So listen, buddy. We were at our monthly member meeting. We had AJ Hazy out of Kelowna on, very astute investor, and got an amazing Advantage West realty in Kelowna. He's got an outstanding strategy right now that's working, built around a BRRRR, and then he added something to it, and I can't remember what it is, but basically it's doing a whole BRRRR into a rent-to-own strategy, and it's absolutely freaking brilliant. And he's crushing it. He's absolutely crushing it. So the point is that when you hang out in the right places, in the right spaces, nothing shuts you down. As a matter of fact, when you get these downturns, it's all kind of cool. So
I think so.
BC is quiet. BC is kind of feeling the pain of no cash flow as an investor. And then we go to Ontario, and it's like, well, it depends. Toronto.
Before we go all the way to Ontario, let's talk about Alberta.
Well, let's talk about it. Well, we're going to talk about Alberta. Alberta is...
it was the holy grail of investors for the past couple of months, years. And, we're starting to see a little cooling, just as we've been talking about and we've been mentioning, so there's tends to be a little bit overbuilding and oversaturation, especially since, all of the investors across Canada were kind of stuck going to only one place where things worked. And so Alberta was that place. And, the reason why they call it Albertario is really you see this massive migration from Ontario to Alberta. And so the question is, why do people go there? Affordability, right? Mm-hmm. And when they go there, some of them are realizing there's a bit of a surprise, the price tag, price shock, what do they call it?
Sticker shock,
right? Yeah. Where it's not so affordable. And so where are they going to go, right? So there's still lots of opportunities in Alberta, as we've talked about, and you just got to be really conservative with your numbers and make sure you run your numbers. And we're looking at the secondary markets. I agree with you. We talked about this many times, but don't sleep on Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan seems to be one that's chugging along, right?
Yeah, chugging away. But I think there's a couple things that I want to hit on. There's a couple of aspects to it. As you and I have been in this industry for many, many years, I don't sell real estate. What I want to do is provide the education and the economic updates for people. So if somebody buys real estate or doesn't buy real estate, doesn't really impact me. My whole goal and this goes back to not just people who are getting started, Alfonso, and we play that game so well. If somebody's interested in learning how to invest in real estate and doing it right and really getting the education and the support, that's our game. But what I'm seeing and hearing more of, and we can talk about this a little bit, is there's a lot of existing investors out there who are feeling a lot of pressure. They don't know where things are going. They're feeling lots of anxiety. Cash flow is either tight or upside down. And so, this is my kind of, I guess, what do I want to call it? My guidance, if you will, for those investors who are just sitting on the sidelines. Stay on the sidelines. That's fine. For those of you who are feeling some discomfort, feeling some pressure, feeling a little bit uncertainty and what to do, when to do, all the things that are going on, what will the bank do? Oh, there's so much of it, right? The point is put yourself in the right space, put yourself in the right room, surround yourself with the right people, and hang out with other like-minded investors, and you will crush it still. You'll solve problems. You'll see the future before it gets here. And this is always my message to investors, Alfonso, as you know. We want to be proactive, not reactive. We don't want to be kind of dealing with issues that show up today that we knew were coming a year ago. And that's so much of what is happening even right now, Alfonso. I want to say, get support. For those of you who are feeling pressure, there's lots of solutions. I've heard some great ones by some very sophisticated investors. So they're solving problems for other people, and they're also creating opportunities by solving those problems.
I have to agree. And sometimes, depending on the strategy that you applied, at some point you might have to cut your losses and lick your wounds and keep moving forward, keep chugging along. If you have a portfolio that it's you've been building it up and everything is looking good, but you don't know where interest rates are going to be, I've always told people, don't forget about looking at the low-hanging fruit, meaning look at your existing portfolio, stabilize, optimize, and maximize. Mm-hmm. So, get ready. They talk about the I can't remember what was it, that story of the squirrels. One's packing away all the nuts for the winter, and the other one relaxing. And when winter comes, one is sitting there with no nuts. Right?
Yeah, and Mai Tai in one hand and the beach in the other, sand in his toes.
Yeah, and so Warren Buffett says that when the tide goes out, you find out who's been swimming naked. Yeah. And so, you want to make sure that you are ready for a storm, not that necessarily one will show up, or, we don't want to be the doom and gloom baby boomers, but or the loom. Anyways,
doom and gloom boomers. I'm not a doom and gloom boomer.
I always get that wrong. But ultimately, you want to make sure that you want to look at your situation. You want to look at your current portfolio and make sure that you're solid. Your systems are in place. You can cut costs. You can look at additional revenue. So when things tend to slow down, when we start to see higher vacancies, when things start to get uncomfortable, this is where you have to be a real investor, an investor that is overseeing their business, that's on top of their stuff, right? And it's so easy for people to kind of just sit there and just, we'll see what happens.
Well, right? They wait. Yeah, they wait and they wait and they wait and they hope, and hope is not a good strategy. Here's, the quote I recently made that I've shared many times now, which is, the boom cycles cover a lot of investors' mistakes. The slump cycles are when they pay for those mistakes. But it doesn't have to be that way. There's the mistakes. We don't even know that we've made them. We don't know what we don't know until it gets tested. And it doesn't get tested often until there's a slump cycle. And then you go, holy cow, I missed this. I should have done that. I could have done that. So part of that is also understanding, economically what's happening in that region. What are you looking for in terms of signs that you better batten down the hatches? Right now I'm saying be conservative in your financing. Make sure you got a reserve fund. Liquidity is king. Cash is king. Do all those things. But there's also a part of it where I'll use Alberta as an example. And right now everybody's really high on Edmonton. And I'm saying to everybody, I'm okay with Edmonton. Like, I see the economics, it makes sense, but it is in fact over the next 12 to 18 months, it's going to get softer. It's not to say it's going to crash and burn like the Toronto condo market. It's not like that. It's going to slow down. And so if the question becomes, if your rents drop $150 a month or $100 a month or $200 a month, what can you take? And if vacancy all of a sudden goes up to 5% and you're taking 60, 90 days, do you have the cash to see you through that kind of a rental window? So these are all things that we can plan for, but it takes just that, the awareness of what's coming down the pipe. Number two, putting yourself around a group of people that can help solve problems or support you in making these decisions, learning those decisions. And so that's really the message that I think I wanted to get out in this. And as well as we've got some events coming up, through the course of October that people may be interested in attending if you want to hang out with a bunch of like-minded people.
So we went through Alberta. We said don't sleep on Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
And the beauty about investing across the country, that I can feel all these different markets. So in Saskatchewan, vacancies are down. It's a steady eddy because Saskatoon, specifically Saskatoon, has never really seen this massive boom. It's kind of just been the steady eddy chugging along. Yeah. So I like Saskatchewan. I like Saskatoon, Regina. Yeah. I like the bigger markets, and I would kind of if I'm investing in Alberta, I'll be looking at secondary markets. If I'm investing in Saskatchewan, I'll be looking at primary markets like Saskatoon or Regina. You can still find things that make sense in those markets, and we know there's cities, so they're especially Saskatoon and Regina will always be Saskatoon and Regina.
Yeah, they will be, and that's the way that rolls.
Yeah.
So as we go through this, let's stop in Ontario long enough to say, okay, the whole of Southern Ontario is not melting down, although if you read the headline, that's what it sounds like. Yes, it has definitely taken a hit. But when you look at Ottawa, for example, softer, but it's certainly not terrible. And arguably, it'll kind of stay the way it is right now.
Chugging along.
Yeah. But and then you look at some of the markets, outside of Toronto, GTA, and you go, okay, it's not so bad. Yes, Toronto is, it's just not a good scene. But as is downtown Vancouver or Vancouver proper. But the point is that we look at these markets, we look at these regions, we have to study what's going on economically and then make data-driven decisions. What's happening right now, Alfonso, in a boom cycle, everybody's a genius. Oh, interest rates are so low. It's all a genius, right? And then, but the real opportunities and the most sophisticated and the most successful real estate investors, they play in this space. They're not chasing deals. They're writing great offers. They can kind of do great diligence. And are deals easy to find? No, but they're out there, and it's worth the work and worth the effort.
I would agree. I was saying that to you yesterday. For the first time, we're underwriting things in Toronto. So as things get soft, people become flexible, and now people are seeing things with a whole new lens. And I'm excited about the opportunities that we have right now. Like we've talked about it before, we're going through a big wealth transfer, biggest human wealth transfer in human history. So I'm excited about that. I know that regardless of whatever, interest rates are up, down, or sideways, these assets are going to have to trade hands somehow. Mm-hmm. And, right now, as everybody is focused on other things that are happening in the media, we tend to, get very emotional, very political, Epstein, this and that, all these things are keeping people distracted. And in the meantime, investors like me, we're taking massive action in the next 3 months. Mm-hmm. And so, we're out here, we're doing events. Right now it's 8:30 in Eastern Standard Time. And, we wanted to take this time because it's important right now that people get the goods, and the people that are paying attention to, other investors that are in the trenches. These are the people that on the other side are going to come out on top, and people are going to say, "Oh, you're lucky. How did you know?"
Yeah, no kidding. We've got some people watching. If you got some question, folks, about real estate specifically, we may be able to get to some if I could figure out how to work all the stuff. But if you got a question, put it in the chat. Alfonso and I will work on it. Alfonso, there's some fundamentals around, these things that we look at. There is all these distractions. Getting financing is not easy. Like, we're not looking through this world of rose-colored glasses. Make no mistake, creating wealth in this environment is where opportunities live, but it's the most difficult. It is really, but we have to lean into the headwinds. I think I was sharing with you, there was a story about, there's cattle in the field, and beside them is a bunch of buffalo, a bunch of bison. Of course, animals can sense the storm coming. And so as soon as the cows sense the storm coming, they actually run away from it. They run away from the storm. Whereas the buffalo are wired, they actually run to the storm and they run into it so that they come out the other side. Done. We're through the storm. They leaned into it. They ran through it. And the cows are still running through it, burning up energy, trying to find a place to hide. The storm's still going to hit, and they got to live with it because they're not moving. So it's just maybe an interesting metaphor for how we are as investors and want to be real estate investors, or existing investors who are maybe hitting some headwinds now, given what's going on economically. The point is, get to a place where you can lean into the storm, get supported, get the education. I mean, when we look at between Wealth Genius and REIN, the collaboration that you and I have created is not just in our years of experience, but it's in the size of the community. It's the range of trusted partners and experts and access to people, and our network that others get to tap into as well.
Love it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we're putting these events together. Mm-hmm. Because people need to, either if you have an existing portfolio, you got to come back, you got to get energized. You can't put your head in the sand. You got to learn about stabilization. You got to learn about optimization and maximization. So that's the low-hanging fruit. Once you got that settled and we can make sure that you can weather any storm, now it's time to get to work. And a big part of it is taking the right steps forward, because not all steps are going to be the right ones during these times. And 20 years ago, we had the luxury where inflation hadn't impacted us the way it has, where single family homes and condos could cash flow. And so
they don't anymore.
Those days are behind us. And so we have to, different times require different strategies. And so you got to come and learn these new strategies. And that's why I'm so passionate about all the things that we're doing. We got events coming up, lined up all in October, and I'm excited. I'm invigorated. I can't wait to see our people.
Yeah, we got some great events coming up. And if you're listening and you're interested in finding out more, go to REINcanada.com/events. The description, or the link will be in the description. And then you can look at the events we've got coming up October 1st, October 24th in British Columbia and Langley and Surrey. Then we're there. And then we head to Toronto, and we're doing Expand on the 31st, the 1st, and the 2nd. So a whole packed month of stuff going on. Of course, Wealth Genius has always got stuff going on. But ultimately, folks, I encourage you to not kind of curl up in the fetal position in your basement and not think that real estate's an option. I will say again, given what's happening in the world economically, and I'm talking global macro, we must own hard assets, and real estate is one of the hard assets that you should have in your portfolio. And for those of you who have got real estate and are going, whoa, I wish I didn't own real estate, well, maybe it's time to look for other opportunities in terms of solutions by putting yourself in the right space with the right people and get some support. Alfonso, anything you want to say before we check out here? Listen, I know you got an event to get to.
Well, we're just setting up here, but ultimately, I want to leave people with this. If nothing happens, nothing happens. And if you do nothing, don't expect anything to happen, right? Mm-hmm. And in fact, things will get worse. And so the most powerful thing that you can do is put one foot in front of the other and take action.
And we're here to support, as is the rest of the community and many, many others who are playing the game and doing it really well. and having some great success. There was one comment. I just want to see if there's anything. Oh, we got Mario giving us good advice. Thanks, Mario. Anyways, we are signing off. And Alfonso, thank you, my friend.
We'll see you at the top.
We will be seeing you soon.